Hey, Matt Chatham here for Football by Football. Here at FBF, we love to dive into the details of individual games, matchups, performances, the behind-the-scenes kind of things. But from time to time, it's good to take a big picture view of this league that consumes so much of our time, energy, and money. What is that thread, that tie that binds the NFL? Unfortunately, over these last several years, it's that NFL leadership is so consistently unwise. Ranta Claus here, ho ho ho. Let's dive in. On this issue of wisdom, we have to first establish what is inherently wise. We're talking about leadership here for a very diverse, huge organization. And I just think as a baseline definition, wisdom would be something, some policy, some pursuit, something that you stand for that has a cost benefit that's not out of whack. You're not pursuing something that can't invariably let you down or create new avenues or new problems. That's been the major issue with the NFL, standing for things that don't matter, or saying you stand for something that you actually don't, or pursuing something that caused you greater issues that were never worth the pursuit in the beginning. That's your NFL under Roger Goodell and his team of leaders. We'll look here on a case-by-case basis. First, we can look at Deflategate. That's obviously the most infamous example. All that it really revealed was that the NFL has an agenda, treats things markedly different from time to time, and invariably don't know how balls work. That's embarrassing. That's something that didn't need to be revealed. If you were incompetent, it's something that could have been kept to yourself. They published their findings in part to help sway public opinion, but what did they do? They really basically just unwittingly revealed that they themselves were incompetent, and they themselves in certain instances were actually corrupt. Is that good cost benefit? Of course not. It's simply unwise. You've been named CEO of a sports league, one that exists in the entertainment space. Your business model is highly dependent upon interest in your game, people buying tickets to go sit in those seats, and people watching at home, so the ad revenue dollars continue to flow. What's the last thing wise leadership would want to do in this kind of environment? Antagonize the consumer, undercut in any way the entertainment value of your product. But that's precisely what the NFL has done. Play chicken with their fans, play chicken with their players. Go after this sort of phony war on fun. Go after celebrations, find them, recreate, redefine what it means to have sportsmanship. Make that definition not meet anything that your fans believe in or your players, just you and your old men. That's a bad idea. That's just not wise leadership. And where does this fall short even further? When you have these rules and you don't even actually enforce them levelly. The Ezekiel Elliott situation is the most recent example where players around the league have been fined for far less, but in this moment when the PR is worse, you don't enforce it consistently. So not only are you clueless on the aims of the whole operation, but you're also lacking integrity in how you enforce it. 0 for 2. Hopelessly out of touch with your consumer is a place that no leader should ever find themselves. In the event that you do, you haven't been wise. I think it's very difficult if you look across the last 10 years to find an example of an initiative the NFL has gotten behind that was either executed well or even needed. A telltale sign that the leadership has been poor. It's a great product because football is great and you're really the only player, but that's an issue that sits well outside whether or not you've done a good job with it. Back to that issue we discussed earlier of radio communications, it actually is a great example of things that weren't needed or things that if you were wise, you would trim if you actually stood for what you said. Think about this. In basketball, in baseball, in hockey, do they have radio communications on the rink or on the court or on the field? Of course not. So if cheating was really this wonderful prerogative that you would have, you would take it off the playing field. But you leave it out there, you invite the pedophiles onto the school playground. That's silly. You can't put put people into a bad situation and then create a bunch of rules. That's not good leadership. If that's really an issue, you have to take a hard, long look from afar. Was any of this ever necessary? Why in the world did we do it? Does the product become better by virtue of doing it, or did I just create more problems? The answer here is pretty easy. And finally, if brand really does matter that much to the NFL, if the image of the shield is intrinsically linked to the viability of the product, the last thing you would want is to have that brand fronted by someone who's so roundly disliked, someone who's seen as persistently dishonest, someone who's seen as out of touch with the consumer. In that environment, the last thing you want is that person fronting the brand. Roger Goodell and all of his cronies need to be gone. The brand needs to be clean. At the end of the day, wise leadership matters.